Okay, hi everybody. It's Tuesday afternoon, 2 o'clock. I am really thrilled to be bringing all of you the Sharon moms, Brit and Sydney Sharon, who are they're just really inspirational and lovely and warm and open, and I loved talking with them. I love following them. I love learning about their journey. I love learning about their life. And I'm just like so thrilled to be able to bring them to all of you so that they can tell their story. People can hear a little bit about their lives and what led them to, wanting to be together, wanting to start a family, how they were able to start their family. I think this is here they come. Just really excited to be able to bring them to all of you today. Let me take this off, and we're going to get started. Here they are.
Hi.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I was stuck in a little bit of traffic, which is why I'm a little bit late, but we're here and we're good. So,
no worries.
Yes. So, first of all, okay, I'm done talking. I want the audience, I want the community to meet all of you, to meet the two of you, to hear your story, to hear like the beauty and everything that you've been able to create. Like this is your time. So introduce yourselves, tell people who you are, and let's just get started.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm Brit and this is Sydney.
Hi.
And we're the Sharon moms here on Instagram. And
I'm calling you Sharon, and I really meant to call you Sharon. So yeah.
It's all good. We respond to both. So
yeah,
all good.
And we have taken to social media just as soon as we started our journey to get pregnant to really share the story of what it looks like for two females to go through the process. That was like kind of the inspiration for it. We kind of share a lens through everything through our Judaism and our gayness. I don't know, like just our
through our LGBT
lives.
Yeah, it's just our life, and that's really what it is. We
I think for us, kind of piggybacking on what Britt was saying, when we've known each other since like we were in 8th grade. We started going to school together. We didn't really cross true paths until senior year of high school. We went to Israel for our first year of college. We've been ingrained in each other's lives for a very long time. And I've never been one to shy away from how important motherhood was always going to be for me. That was, when you see cute little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? A mommy. That was always my answer since I was like 2, since I was Thea's age. And I've never been shy about speaking that in any relationship, no matter how young I was, no matter how early on in the relationship it was. And I think we were together for about 3 years when I went to an endocrinologist and was diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Yeah. And although she said all of my PCOS patients who've wanted to have babies naturally have had babies, all I heard was, it is going to be very hard. It is going to be very challenging. It's not going to happen easily.
Yeah, it was a very cloudy, dark.
It was crippling. I think it was
conversation.
It was really hard
Sydney.
for me to hear, even though she said it was going to be okay, I heard, no, it's not. Then add in being in a gay relationship. And I was like, every obstacle we can hit, we're going to hit. We should just go straight to IVF. Let's just plan for the most expensive route, the most challenging route. And when we started going to doctors, there wasn't a whole lot of information on 2 women in a relationship just missing a key ingredient.
Yeah, the fertility doctors kept giving us statistics of single women in their 40s or, young fertile couples with the man has an issue of some sort. Like, wait, but what about young
us?
Women in their 20s that just need IUI or IVF because we need support? What's the statistics on that? What's our route? What's our what's the future look like? What do we need to prepare for? And he was just
Right.
like, can't really tell you.
The way that he compared it is he goes, the best statistics I can probably give you are that of a heterosexual couple out in the wild. His phrase was always out in the wild.
Okay.
Very wild.
So I think for him, what he was, and I love our doctor. He knows what he's doing. He got it right twice.
Yeah.
But I think for him, what he meant is like, look, like if you were just a fertile woman and a fertile man having sex, unprotected sex, you were both of baby making age, and there was no fertility issues, you have like a 1 in 4 chance. I was like, great, but we're going to you and we're doing a medicated IUI. You're tracking my cycle. You're tracking my follicle growth. You're tracking and tracking and tracking, and there's medication involved. What are those chances?
Right.
We don't know.
Do we need to save $5,000? Do we need to save $100,000? Like,
right.
Those were what was going through my head.
And can I bring you back just for a second? Can I bring the two of you back? How did you guys also make the decision as to who was going to carry the baby? What was that decision like? And while you're talking, I'm just actually, my Wi-Fi is being my Wi-Fi is being wonky. I'm going to take myself off Wi and put myself on like 4G or whatever it is. So just keep talking.
Okay, no problem. So that was actually iffy if I wanted to carry, and Sydney was like, yes, give me all the babies, I want to carry them all. And so first of all, that made a brainer of who's going to go first. And as I
actually think because of my PCOS diagnosis, it also that was something that was really important, where it's like I really wanted to try as naturally as possible and as soon as possible,
because you were worried.
Because I was really worried. And out of all of the different symptoms you can have for PCOS, I check every single box except for polycystic ovaries. It is the one thing that I don't currently have an issue with. Everything else I do, which all of those things do play into fertility to some degree. Polycystic ovaries is obviously the biggest one, and it's the one that I don't have.
Yeah.
So I was ready to start a family like day one. We U-hauled it day one of our relationship, and I was like, great, let's get a dog, let's get some kids, and let's go. And she's like, we're 20.
Yeah. But also we were like 25, and I was like, calm down. And then I was like, calm down. And I think we were on a trip to Israel and London, and we were like seeing some gap year friends in London, and we're waiting for our flight. And I'm like, Sydney, we will never just like
get to do this.
Just like sit in an airport for 4 hours waiting for our flight in peace and quiet again. Like just take this in. And we were sitting in the airport, and you remember exactly where we were.
The one line Brit has said to me my whole life is, the day you become a parent, whether it's to 1 baby or 100 babies, you're a parent for the rest of your life.
I'm slow and steady. I'm like, let's take our time. Let's enjoy the moment.
I am very impulsive. We balance each other out.
So beautifully.
Is like, I still am, I think we actually both are still super traditionalists in that I wanted to get married first, and I wanted to graduate college first. And like, there was things that I wanted to tick off for me personally before I embark on parenthood, because it is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
It is no joke. And I'm very big into all of the TV dramas and medical shows. And I think recently, especially this last year with COVID, I've been so heightened with how many people struggle with infertility, which adds to my guilt of getting pregnant so quickly. So for, you're following an audience that don't know, we did IUI. We did not do IVF. We started slow. We did 2 medicated IUIs and got pregnant with both.
Yes.
And part of why our kids are so close.
Which is incredible.
It's incredible. It is not the statistic for 2 fertile male and female. It's not the norm.
We have friends that are gay women, and they struggle. IUI multiple times, and go to IVF and struggle with IVF as well. And so we're definitely counting our blessings.
There's no guarantee in this life. straight.
But I look, I also think though, look, personally on this page, right? On I Was Supposed to Have a Baby, we talk a lot about the yuck and the terrible and the horrible and the painful and the sad. And but there also is room for like, yes, this process wasn't a slam dunk, right? It wasn't like you were two women and you knew there had to be like people outside of this process that had to be involved. You knew there had to be donor sperm. You knew that other people needed to get involved, but you have two kids and it happened relatively easy. Like that happens sometimes and it's okay to talk about it and it's okay to celebrate that. Like there's nothing to be ashamed of. And it doesn't mean that you don't belong here too. Like it doesn't mean that.
I appreciate that. And I think the way, we are very much in tune to counting our blessings and being grateful for what we have. For me to have two healthy pregnancies, the miracle that it is to get pregnant, for a sperm and an egg to meet at the right time and the right place, for it to implant in the right place, to grow from teeny tiny cells into a baby, to give birth healthy, to then keep them alive on the outside. There has to be a bigger word than miracle, because that's what I'm constantly living in.
Yeah.
Even in the hard parts of parenting. And I don't mean like teething, which not easy, but I mean the tantrums and the overtime,
screaming and the yelling and the whining
and then add in the dog barking and I just want to rip my hair out. There is still, I think, for both of us a degree of like,
I take this any day.
We made this. Like we really, there's something, I think, when you have to go through fertility treatments, I think there is that extra little, like, you really love your kids hard. Like really hard, like you were really wanted, you were really planned for. There was no mistake here, which is part of why our kids are so close in age, is because I was like, okay, fine. The first time was a fluke. PCOS is going to have a play at this, and my body's all fakakta because of going through pregnancy. So let's start so we can eventually get pregnant. And it took again.
And I was like, one time.
Brit was never worried.
Like, chill out.
Brit was never worried. She's like, it's not going to be a problem. And I'm like, don't say that.
Right. The ayin hara, right? The ayin hara. Like, don't say that. Like,
exactly.
I think that my perspective on the situation comes from a long time of my family doesn't talk about serious things like that. So it's actually like, I think I was a senior in high school and we were going out to dinner because I was about to leave for my gap year in Israel. And I'm sitting at this restaurant and my parents just somehow, I say something like, oh, I wish I was a twin or something like that. And then my parents just kind of dropped that, like, oh, they were pregnant with twins and they lost the twins. And I'm 18 years old and I'm only learning about this for the first time in my whole life. And it's just not something that, like, my parents never discussed money and they never discussed, serious things. They're like, this is adult conversations versus, family conversations. So I think has a lot to do with the way I approached, I'm like, why would there be a problem? It's one of those stigmas that we don't talk about enough. And I think I'm the product of that, which is,
whereas me and my family, my mom is a shrink and my grandparents are shrinks and my aunts are shrinks. So we come from we talk about everything and all the feelings are good feelings and are healthy feelings. And I'm the oldest in my family and my brother and I are 20 months apart. My parents got pregnant very quick after. And then my mom struggled with, she had 3 miscarriages between my brother and my baby brother. And I remember one of those, I was 8 when Ari was finally born, but I was old enough to understand what was going on because my mom was losing babies at 16 weeks, 20 weeks. Those are like viable, like you can see the belly. You can, as a kid, you see something growing and then not. And I have a distinct memory. I feel like I'm 4 or 5 years old. My mom has a Band-Aid on her hand and she said, mommy and daddy have to tell you about a boo-boo that mommy had. Mommy's okay. She's going to be okay. And so I've heard about miscarriage. I've heard about these infertility struggles within my close-knit family and then my expanded family it's just what we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to celebrate the good without celebrating the bad, because you want to be a part of the whole journey, which I think also adds into why we started our process of broadcasting our life on social, was because I didn't want to just talk about the good, because it's not going to be good 100% of the time. It's life.
Yeah. And we shared with our community, like at 5 weeks,
5 or 6 weeks,
because we're like, we were at the mindset of, this is, if we want to celebrate this mitzvah right now, and if God forbid we need to, you know, share some sad news, we need people to know what we're going through. You know, we don't want to like celebrate alone and then
we share. I remember
alone. We really have always been community based.
I remember when we got pregnant with Thea and we decided to share. It was Passover.
Oh, yeah,
and we had everybody and their mom at my parents' house.
I think we have it on YouTube, on our YouTube
I think we do. And one of the traditions we have in my family is every Shabbat we go around the table and we say what we're thankful for that week. It's, first of all, an awesome tradition to have, but it really gives you, it gives you light. You're like, you know, not every day is going to be a great day, but if you can focus on that really good for entering Shabbat, I think it kind of makes it that much more special. So we've integrated that into all of the holidays also. And so we're going around the table. And as you have heard about Brit's family, not only do they not talk about it, then there's also that level of superstition. And in Israel, I don't think you start planning for the baby's arrival until after the baby comes. Like, there's no baby shower until after the baby comes.
There's no nursery.
There's no nursery. There's no.
Yes. It's not even in, I was going to say, I know that Brit is Israeli, but it's not even in Israel. Like, it's in so many circles, right? Like, you don't talk about the baby comes. Right? You don't have a car seat. You don't have anything. Right?
It was a real struggle with my parents to be like, guys, this is how we're doing it. And so, yeah, it was a crazy journey, but my parents they were like, don't tell anybody. And
to give your parents credit, they have had to come a long way with a lot of pieces of our life, but they never once gave up on us. They never once stopped being our biggest cheerleaders. I rely on Brit's parents more than I rely on Brit sometimes. Like, I know I can call my mother-in-law at any time and she will drop whatever she is doing and be here in a minute.
Yeah. Or 5 minutes.
Amazing.
I can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think.
And here's from our wedding, our community tree. It's our community tree of life.
That was our guest book. Because nobody opens
at it.
Beautiful. It's
books.
Beautiful.
And look at art.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think it was really important for us to share what so much of our family has gone through and our friends were going through, but nobody was talking about. There is some yucky stuff to talk about, but I think it makes the happy so much more worth celebrating.
Totally. Can you guys also talk about the sperm donor process, like how you thought about that, how you went about it? I know also you have there's something like exciting coming up with the two of you in regard to your own sperm bank, but I want people to hear about that process, how you thought about it. You come from an Ashkenazi background, Sid. You come from a, more Sephardi background. Did you want someone who was Jewish? Were you told you needed to have someone who was Jewish? Like, give me sort of those pieces.
This part's a little controversial because to each their own for all families.
Bring it on.
So when we chose California Cryobank. California Cryobank was not only the top bank on Google search, which obviously is where we're going to start because we are millennials. It was also what was recommended
by friends
and family and couples who are like our parents' age and have gone through this decades ago. So California Cryobank has been around for over 40 years. They're internationally known. They're reputable. They're to be a sperm donor, only 1% is accepted. It's harder to become a sperm donor with them than it is to go to Harvard. All of these fantastic stats made us very happy.
Yeah, I had a lot of concern around like hearing, 2020 reports of like how a sperm bank is closing down because they realized that like their offsprings that were being produced were like had so much mental illness and like they weren't screening their donors correctly. And that was my biggest fear going into it. Like, you just don't know who the sperm is coming from. And that was a big
California Cryobank also really protects and thinks about the same-sex community. They have, they deal with all of the legal components with regards to using a sperm donor, but they will also write you a letter of recommendation for second parent adoption if that's needed in your state. They help with vial transfers between two mommy to bees. So they take care of a lot of the same-sex couple issues that would be hurdles at other places, which obviously was very important to us.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that I want to make sure that we touch on is also some of the legal pieces here, the who's the parent, all that. We'll get to that, but I want to focus you, keep you going here.
Yeah. So when we started, I was the one that was obviously more aggressive and was like, I need to find a donor today. And it took, I was on there for 4 or 5 months. I kept doing different filters. It's just like shopping online, like at Nordstrom. It's you filter what kind of color top do you want? And do you want a bottom? And do you want a dress with sleeves or with 3/4? I mean, it's like shopping online.
You pick your eye color, you pick your height, blood type, all that kind of stuff.
So, and did it have also the mental health piece that you were concerned? Like, could you see mental health? Could you see like any of this other stuff?
They have to be, in order to be a donor, there's certain screenings that they have to go through, like psychological screenings. So everybody that is a donor has already passed all of that. The information that we have health-wise is about their like medical history
and their family history
and their family. I think about my donor's health than I do about my own. So I was looking at very like outwardly things like hair color and height and eye color. Like I was drawing a perfect donor, and I wasn't finding anybody. I was really stuck. We were kind of attached at the beginning to finding a Jewish donor because we were Jewish. And it wasn't until I threw the computer at Brit because our doctor's appointment was coming. I was like, I give up. We're never getting pregnant. This isn't happening. And she goes, there are literally hundreds of donors. We will find one. We're not marrying the person. And she took 20 minutes.
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
She goes, I found him. I was like, how? And ironically, we took that Jewish component off.
That filter.
The baby's going to be Jewish regardless.
Yeah, that was my approach.
We're raising our family Jewish, but like on a Jewish law level, both women are Jewish, baby's going to be Jewish. Yeah. So we realized that wasn't actually as important. And the irony is that our donor is of Jewish ancestry.
Yeah, that was just one. But all things happen for a reason. But I think what
some of the important factors for us,
you can go ahead.
Some of the important factors for us that Brit had the genius to think about was blood type. She was like, the donor should be one of our blood types to help ensure, nothing's ever a guarantee with genetics, but we wanted to help ensure if God forbid something ever happened to our kids that they could turn to their own parents.
It's fascinating and extremely, extremely smart. Yeah.
It narrowed down a lot of people when we started doing it by blood type. Brit also had the foresight to look at the birth year of our donor. We wanted someone age appropriate so that if and when our children want to know more about their sperm donor, that the age difference is an appropriate age difference.
Yeah. Right. Meaning that it wasn't somebody who was too old, like wasn't someone much older than you.
So
or too young.
So California Cryobank has been around for 40 years. They actually have donors that donated 10, 15 years ago. And, you know, when you look at the birth date, it's like birthday 1975, 1969, stuff like that. And we're born in the 80s. So we want, you know, if at 18 our child wants to like go and explore that relationship, that they're still alive, or that they're you know, in a place in their life where they're like, yeah, I'm happy to know you, and you know, they're not like, you know,
we didn't want someone too old or too young.
Exactly.
We wanted Goldilocks. We wanted someone just right.
So we actually got someone born the same birth year as us. I don't actually know his exact birthday, but it's irrelevant.
He was born the same year as us.
Yeah.
And I think those two criteria, you know, we did a few of like, we wanted brown hair. Brit and I both have brown hair. Our families both have brown hair. We didn't narrow down eye color or anything like that. I mean, Nathan, our son, has blue eyes. And after doing some digging, our donor's paternal grandfather has blue eyes, and my great grandmother had blue eyes.
Wow.
Voila, a baby blue eyes. He's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. So, you know, choosing California Cryobank, they gave us the most options. They held our hand. They made, I think, what would have otherwise been kind of an awkward, tedious, hard, like something to check off a list, but like not at the same time. You know, the donor is not the dad. The donor is merely a donor. We're not marrying this person. This person is not integrated into our life, but his DNA and his family is. It's a heavy conversation and something to really think about. How involved do you want this donor to potentially be in the future or not?
Yeah,
right.
Do you take that choice away from your kids or not? Is that important or not?
And was that something that you had the option of deciding right then as you sort of signed the papers, or is it later on? Like, tell me more about that.
So that's actually a filter on the search, and they're already pre-distinguished as what kind of donor they are. So that's when the donor donated, they said what they were open to. So there are three levels. One is completely closed, one is anonymous, and one is open. And so completely closed means they don't want anything to do with anything after this point, after donating. And then the open means they are open to, like, contact me. I'm happy to be involved and know who the child is. And then anonymous means at the age of 18, the child, only the child, not the parents, can approach the cryobank and ask for, I think it's like connection.
They can ask for help with getting in touch with the sperm donor. And it's at that point that the donor can then choose in their life.
They will attempt twice, I think. And
I don't know the specifics, but anonymous basically means that later in the future, they can choose at that point in their life if they're a yes or a no.
And the donor can say, you know what? No, I'm not interested. I have a family, like whatever the situation is. Or they can say, yeah, I'm totally open.
So we really wanted an open donor because I didn't want to take that away. I didn't want to take that choice away from my kids. And then it became really hard to find that right match for us. So what we decided to do was kind of put that on the back burner, focus more on our donor's health. And it turned out that the right donor for us is an anonymous donor. We for sure knew we didn't want closed. I didn't want to completely make that decision for our kids. And, you know, I think having I'm hopeful. I also don't know what my kids are going to want. They might not have any interest, or they may be super curious in 3 years. I don't know. What's interesting is when we announced our pregnancy with Thea was Mother's Day weekend. We thought that was obviously appropriate. And that same weekend, we found out that my dad was a sperm donor 30 plus years ago.
When he was they came to the doors of the medical school and said, we need some people for this cutting edge thing.
So as you know, family, as I mentioned, we are talkers. We talk about everything. There are no secrets. I think my dad was dating my mom at the time, and my mom knew. So this was never meant to be like this huge secret. I think this was so not maybe revolutionary, but it was kind of new back then that the odds of it, my dad was like, look, I'm a dental student. Medicine is fascinating. I'm going to do this to make some money and pay down my student debt. And if I can help the family, great. Odds are nothing's going to come of it, but at least I tried. And my mom's whole spiel is that, of course, we got pregnant easily because my dad helped so many families. To date, I have 6 brothers and sisters that I did not grow up with.
Wow.
They're all amazing people. We have great relationships with
we
all
have
of them.
a ridiculous story. We've all met several times.
We're all meeting again at the end of the summer.
We're all meeting again in September.
Wow.
We are infatuated with each other. It's like we've known each other our whole lives. So a lot of stories don't end that way. Donor children as adults don't necessarily have this happily ever after. We fortunately do. And of course, there was no open, closed, anonymous when my dad donated. He just donated and it was all kind of closed. And leave it to 23andMe and Ancestry.com to kind of bring families together that didn't know they were missing a biological relative. So, you know, my mom wanted a very big family, and my dad was like 1, maybe 2. They have 3, and my mom's like, this is karma. I wanted children, and now I have them.
That's why her mom is constantly saying, "Come over, guys, come over." They all live. Most of them live in New York, some Arizona, Canada.
We're international.
Kansas City.
And I think that's the other important thing that I also like.
Wow.
Cryobank is they have a sibling registry. So once you've reported a pregnancy and you have a baby, you can join their sibling registry.
Oh wow.
I don't know.
And can I also ask about whether you use the same donor for both of your kids? And is that important to you? Like, did you because when I speak to other families who use sperm donors for whatever reason, like there are many families like where they the father, the male partner has male factor, whatever the reason is.
Right.
And so when they're using sperm donors, a lot of people try to assure that they have whoever their donor is has enough sperm frozen so that they would be able to have multiple tries if necessary, but sometimes that's not possible. And so I'm just curious about your thought process with that.
We know people who scheduled their IUI appointment, stopped at a sperm bank, picked up a random vial, and went and got pregnant. So there are people.
Wow.
Okay.
And then if they want another one, they'll look and
they'll
go again. Right.
The planner, we bought 12 vials of sperm.
And I'll tell you, let me go back. This has to do with the fact that there's no data. So the person we were talking to was like, well, it's about five vials per try for a typical infertile woman. Well, we only needed one vial per attempt. So we have a lot of sperm.
We bought our sperm in bulk. We still have a bunch, but I still want more babies.
Yeah. So I will also say when we chose our donor, it had no reported pregnancies. Now I think there's up to 5.
There's over 5.
Over 5. So we don't actually know how many, but the California Cryobank does have some ethical policies that they won't just give 100 siblings to a donor. They have
caps, and they
retire donors as soon as those caps are met.
They have regulations to follow. Again, another
which is important for those looking at donors, that sperm banks. That is something that I think people should look at, because you don't want someone going through life, like 3 of her siblings are in New York. They could have passed each other on the street. They could have had relationships. Yep. It's a little there's an ethical conversation going on right now in this community of like what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
I'm actually really excited. California Cryobank is awesome. They're like family. And one of the perks of, I think, us starting our account and being so open and sharing about this is we've partnered with them also. And aside from the fact that June is Pride Month, it's also my birthday month. So
happy birthday. When?
June 25th.
Okay, it's still coming. Happy birthday.
It's
we're
coming.
already celebrating.
I am a generally very happy person. June, it's like bananas over here. So we're actually doing a gift giveaway of a gift voucher with California Cryobank, and it starts on Friday, this coming up Friday, and it'll be a week. So we're going to be announcing a winner on my birthday.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So
Amazing.
It's really excited. We're giving away a gift voucher to be used at California Cryobank for any of their cryopreservation services. So it could be spent on
a vial
of sperm,
or if you already have your sperm, you can do storage or membership.
They do embryo storage too. So if you've done IVF and you have some embryos, they store that. So we're actually really excited to be able to provide this and pay it forward and pass this along. So we're starting that on Friday. So
incredible.
Anybody looking to go that route or is going down that road, I highly recommend you check them out. We
will make sure when you post the giveaway, make sure that you tag me so that I can share it back.
Anyone watching, you should follow us just so that you know that you see the post, just because it is happening like in a few days.
It's happening in a few days, and we also have a promo code to use with them. So if you want to start browsing their donors, they have 3 levels. They have a free level that gives you access to the database, but then their level 2 subscription gives you access to baby photos. Some people have adult photos, some medical history. Wow. Kind of get all the bells and whistles. So the promo code is Sharon Moms. It's for 90 days.
But ours is for level 3, actually.
Ours is for a level 3.
So level 3 gives you like
everything.
voice interviews. They give you like sketch artists, like, so you can kind of see, like, it's like pieces, so you can kind of see the structure of the nose, the structure of the, that kind of thing.
It's pretty cool.
You can see our donor kind of wrote a poem.
So anything personal to the donor that they want to share, they do audio interviews, so you can have a voice clip of your donor. So I forgot, you're right. Our promo code is for a level 3, and the promo code is Sharon Moms. And you kind of get all the bells and whistles, and once you activate it, it's good for 90 days.
Amazing.
California Cryobank is wonderful. They are.
We didn't search anywhere else. I don't know if that's bad on our part or just
it worked out for us.
I was gonna say it worked. So I want to go back to now just some of like the legal pieces of because what I've heard, I mean, the reason that I met you guys is through Genevieve Jaffe, who is a surrogacy lawyer who works in the LGBTQ community, and she was speaking a lot to me about how there are many instances when you're like, when there are two women who are getting together, who are having a baby, that when you, on the birth certificate, if the two women aren't listed, how it's listed, like what the legal pieces are. So can you guys talk a little bit about that piece also?
Yeah. So we are blessed to live in California. I know people call it a bubble, but it protects us. And so we embrace it fully. So in California, all birth certificates say parent and parent. So we are both on the birth certificate. We don't necessarily have to do a second parent adoption. We could, if we wanted to secure ourselves federally in terms of like any concerns. A lot of people do that. We did not. We chose not to do that. Had we done it?
Can you just go back for a second? Like, just explain for people, like, I know what you're talking about, but just explain why would that even be necessary?
So there are times where, like, okay, so if your child is admitted to the hospital and the mom is at the bedside, and I was at the front reception and I was like, I'm the mother, I need to go back there. They'll be like, no, the mom's already with her. You can have a lot of issues. When Thea was 7 months, she had a really bad accident. She had a skull fracture from the base of her head to the top up here, passing lines, everything. And she was actually in, she got rushed to the local hospital here, and then she got critically transported to the children's hospital. We were there for 3 days. Sydney was, only one person can go with her in the ambulance. Only one person can go with her in the critical care unit. And because there was like 6 doctors for every potential issue, and I had to drive behind with my in-laws, and that was the scariest moment. Going there, I shouldn't have to be concerned about, are they going to let me in? Like, my wife is with them. They see a mom with them. Why would they ever have a problem with me getting back there? And I had no issues. And again, that's being in California. It's not the same for every state.
It's not the same for most states.
I think it is not. It's
what second parent adoption means is that when you're in a same-sex marriage, the biological parent is the biological parent. And the one that either didn't carry or like, if one of the things that we're looking at doing for baby number 3 is something called RIVF, reciprocal IVF, where I would carry Brit's egg. So it would be Brit's egg and our donor sperm, and I would be like essentially the surrogate. It's biologically Brit's baby, even though I carried, and epigenetics has some factor in it. It doesn't matter. So whoever the biological parent is the biological parent, which means that the donor is the biological other half of our child. So in most states, you have to do a second parent adoption, even if you're legally married.
Interesting.
So there's a lot.
Not California.
No, but a lot of people in California still
we know
do
a lot
it
of people who've done it.
Because if they were ever, let's say, vacationing in Florida and there was an accident or an issue, they want to be protected. Now, I don't look like my mom very much. She is a very white.
She looks like me.
And my dad is a Iraqi, Israeli, Sabra, whatever. And I fall more towards that like features. And I have never in my life been put into the doctors or the hospital and had my mom be questioned, oh, can I see your birth certificate? I have to prove that you're the mom of this person. So for me, I wasn't really that concerned with it. If I'm with Thea and we need to go do something and I'm like, I'm the mom, they're not going to be like, let me see your papers. Like, they're not going to like, and it like, you know, that's kind of the mentality I had. Now, it is easier. Hold on one second. It is easier to do. We were recommended to do it before the birth of the baby, because after the birth of the baby, you need to go through the adoption process, which means social work visits, home visits, all lawyers, submitting paperwork. If you do it while you're pregnant, you actually get to avoid all that. It's a document you sign and you submit it. Now,
Fascinating.
It's so much easier if you do it that way, and less taxing on just the family.
And the truth of the matter is, with regards to protection as a family unit, as a married couple, even before we had kids and after we got married, for example, the places that we travel and that we go to, we do research to make sure that they're gay friendly.
You do.
So it is something that is a criteria for us when we travel, even before we had kids. So that hasn't changed. If anything, it's been a little bit more heightened. I think that's kind of things. I don't want to go somewhere where I'm not welcomed. Yeah. I don't want to
support an economy,
and I don't want to support an economy that doesn't support me.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's the way we.
I also don't want to live. I think both of us, we don't want to live life planning for the worst case scenario. I think there is some responsibility on our part as parents to plan for
rainy days
and mishaps. But we've done what we've needed to do legally with living trusts and wills, and our parents support us. I think that's a really big factor, actually. That has nothing to do with legal issues. That is, the parents or grandparents, I think, have a lot of say as next of kin and that whole dilemma. And we have our very supportive family. We have families that get along with each other.
They live a few miles away from each other.
Our parents live off of the same exit
of the freeway.
Like
unbelievable.
That's for sure. That is, it was meant to be.
You go to one of their houses.
We will probably never leave the state of California in terms of a home residence. I really have no plans on doing that anyways, because our parents all live here anyway. But legally, there's definitely still an uphill battle that needs to.
And let me just say this, there is a lot of things about using a donor. Apparently, when we discovered her dad was a donor, one of the first things he did is like, oh no, how many kids are coming out of the woodwork? I need to protect myself. Those were some of the first thoughts, not the first thought, but that was some of the first thoughts. And when he went to his attorney said, because you gave your sperm to a medical facility, it negates you from biological responsibilities. So if there are a lot of people who use donors that, you know, it's just between them, like, come to my house, here's a cup,
meet Schmo in the park.
Turkey baster.
And that there is open to interpretation, and there are cases in terms of like, I've read this article years ago where two women asked a mutual friend for sperm. He said yes. They signed papers where he was like contractually like not required to like support this baby. They ended up getting divorced, and the biological mom went after the biological father for child support. The ruling that the judge
court ruled in her favor
because he is the biological. Now so when we were
accredited sperm banks take care of all of that. So that was that was one of the things I was mentioning earlier with California Cryobank.
We have some amazing people in our life, and we're like, should we use them? Would they be open to it? Should we broach that conversation? And then we're just like, no, we don't
want to deal with.
What if our friend and I have a feud, and they're like, well, I'm going to take your baby from you or something, you know, like,
right.
Like, we wanted that protection. If anything, I'd say go to that sperm bank, use them, I'll take from them. But like that, we just ended up going with a donor.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, especially when you hear about, I mean, I obviously didn't know any of this history and these, you know, these legal rulings, but especially when you hear more about that, it just feels like, like, yes, like maybe some people think like, oh, you'll save the cost and you'll save this and it's just easy and you'll da-da-da-da-da. But like
I knew I wanted to marry Brit. Gay marriage was not legal yet when we got engaged. We got engaged in February, and in June, the day after my birthday,
June 26th.
That's when the Supreme Court had their ruling. That happened the day before our engagement party.
No, it was. It happened on Friday, and we had our engagement party scheduled for that Saturday. People came to celebrate,
crying. People were like, "This
unbelievable!"
Is like
I have chills. I'm like, I have chills. Like,
by the time we had to get our legal paperwork to get married, and we had to go to the courts or whatever. It said, what did it say? It didn't say like man and wife. It didn't say like woman and man. It was just gender fluid.
Yeah.
You wrote your name and how you identify as a gender. And the same thing happened when we had our babies and we had to fill out the birth certificate. It said parent and how do you identify?
Yeah.
So we are very blessed to be in California. I very much love our bubble.
It's not just California, but it does
It
help.
is one of the big ones.
Yes. Okay, guys, I look, I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful for the two of you for being here, for being open, for sharing, as much as you have, both, with your audience and with this audience too. I mean, people will know where to find you, but I guess as sort of like a wrap up to all of this, like, what would you say to, a family who are coming together, they're a same-sex family and they're embarking on this journey? What would you say to them as your pieces of advice, like now sitting back and like going through everything that you've been through?
I think open communication is going to be your best friend. That's just solid, good advice for a marriage in general. Adding a baby is a huge responsibility and really taxing. And there's nothing sexy and romantic about going to the doctor and treated. So, for us, we really had to kind of come up with how are we going to romanticize this and how are we going to make this an intimate moment between two people wanting to start a family. That for me was very important. Again, that open communication, you see a lot of stories about like you make it a date night of picking out your donor.
I love that. That's great. Yeah.
I think, do your research. There is a lot more out there than there was 3-4 years ago. So even since Thea's been born, there's so many more accounts like ours that are sick and tired of hiding in the shadows, of not talking about it. I think more and more families are becoming families and they're sick and tired of like, oh, are you the nanny? Oh, where's the dad? Oh, we're sick and tired of hearing it.
Saturday. They thought I was your daughter.
We went looking at cars and I had to test drive a car and the salesman said, oh, is this car for you or your daughter? And I was like, my 2.5-year-old? Brit. So
oh gosh,
the amount of times that someone has asked if Brit was my daughter.
Yeah, at an airport.
We are the same age, people. Actually, she is older.
I'm trying to decide like who that's insulting or who that's complimenting. I'm like, I just don't even know what to do with that.
You don't really know which way is up. Look, we're fans of California Cryobank. They ship internationally. They ship definitely all over the US. I do your research with doctors. I would interview similar to what you do once you are pregnant and you want to find the right pediatrician. You go and you have interviews and you talk with people and you find the right fit. We're very lucky with our doctor. He came recommended from family who was dealing with infertility, and she is a fiery, hot Argentinian lady who does not like a lot of people, and she fell madly in love with him. That was enough for me. So I think that's the other part, is just talking about it. I think having the courage to be open, especially in this world, in the world of wanting to start a family, you're going to want to raise your kids a particular way. And my fantasy is that most of these people who are wanting to start family are going to want to be open with their kids. So be open with yourself, be open with your partner, be open with your family. Not everybody's going to like it. Not everybody's going to be okay with it. As long as you're standing on solid ground with your partner, I think that's really all that matters.
Definitely. Brit, your thoughts?
I will say that it's worth it. It's a long.
What's the it?
It's the sleep. It's worth it. But I also the biggest thing for me was I never had concerns about getting pregnant. I never had concerns because it wasn't in the realm of possibility for me, right? What was my concern was the financial impact. And I am a hustler. I'm a bootstrapping hustler. Like, it is ingrained in me. And I would say that there are resources out there for people who don't necessarily have the funds for it. There's here in the LA area, we have the LA Jewish Fund, which provides free loans to people at 0% for just this exact
literally for
and those kinds of free, like they call them Hebrew free loan. Like those funds exist basically in almost every metropolitan city across the United States. Yeah.
And I highly recommend people doing their research on seeing how they can either get a grant or 0% funding. Those options are out there, and I just always send people in those directions, just because I feel like that's what people are like, kind of lead. Like, we're not ready because of money, not because of where they are in life, but typically that is what stops a lot of people from starting. So I
especially if you need to buy a lot of sperm so that you want to guarantee the same donor.
Yeah.
Right.
Talk to your sperm bank. Find those local funds. There's a lot of niche funds that just have money waiting for people to come and ask.
Yeah.
And especially for Jews, for Jewish gay folks, they are.
Yeah, I funded my gap year with Jewish orgs, and I went on a full ride to college because of organizations. So it's really kind of just been a blessing for me, so that we have been able to prosper and have kids and get ahead in life because of things like that. So I really stuff like that.
It's a good one.
Okay. I mean, that's the other piece here, right? Because I think that, especially with same-sex couples, like, they know it's not going to be natural. They know that it's going to cost money. And so the question is, how are they going to manage that? I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler also. There is going to be sometime in the summer, the dates are getting finalized, but there's going to be a panel discussion that's being hosted by JQY with Genevieve Jaffe, and we're actually one of the sponsors, talking about just having a family in the same-sex community, the LGBTQ community. And so they're going to be running a panel and giving some of these practical and emotional and Jewish, like, all of these different details. So when that happens, I will let you guys know too.
Yeah, so we're fans, and I think you also just touched on something. There's a lot of different levels to this. Gay, straight, in between. We're human. And the emotional toll, the mental toll, the spiritual toll, the financial toll, the physical toll, it adds up.
Yeah.
And self-care, I think, has been a trendy topic this last year plus, and it's not a trend. It's been around, and I think that's really important. And it's okay to grieve. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to want to give up. It's also okay to keep trying. And I think you need these communities. It takes a village, and that includes you. So that's my final little tidbit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. Everybody, you know where to find them. I will link and tag and, do all the, nonsense that I'll do afterwards when I post, but I'm so grateful. Thank you for firstly, just like even starting your page, but then also like wanting to have this conversation. Like, this is what the Jewish community is about, us coming forth and trying to help other people who are going through this. And that's what we're all about, right? Like, we know that we're being persecuted from the outside. So why not, like, try to make it a little easier on the inside, right? Like, that's what it is.
100%.
That's what it is. Okay. Thank you again. Everybody, this will be saved. You will find that. It'll be on IGTV and then on YouTube. And that's the story. All right. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.